Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Howdy folks, it is Monday, November 14th. I'm Jacob Cohen here with Rob Litterst, and you are listening to The Hustle Daily Show. Today we're going to be talking about SBF, FTX, FTT, and WTF, all those things even mean. The crypto exchange FTX has seemingly imploded overnight. Billions down the drain, movies being made. What happened? What does it all mean for the future of crypto? And why should you even care if you don't care about crypto? We are going to talk about it all. But before we get to all that, a few headlines in tech and business. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. All right, first things first, Twitter reportedly laid off 80% of its contractor staff, with the cuts expected to impact content moderation and core infrastructure. Platformer reported that 4,400 out of 5,500 contractors at Twitter experienced the job cuts, and employees told CNBC that they had no notice that their contractor peers would even be dismissed, and so that Twitter has also terminated all of its internal comms team. Okay, seems like the comms are not doing very well within Twitter.
No, crazy. And like, these are just such aggressive moves. It's really wild. I mean, like, you talk about how it's a good thing in some situations for leaders to be decisive, but this just seems like a lot, especially when you look at what happened when Musk first took over. And like,
right,
some of the people whose jobs they cut, they were like, wait, can you come back? Because we didn't know we needed you for this project. Like, I don't know, cutting that many people and cutting the entire comms team, just it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, what I think is so interesting, like, imagine putting yourself in the shoes of people who work at Twitter right now. The culture at this company has completely changed overnight. I have to imagine a lot of people who may have lost their jobs might not even want to be there right now.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird situation.
I'm pretty sure alongside all this, I saw a headline that 2 other leaders have left. It's like, if he's not laying you off, then you might be leaving. Like, it seems like it's kind of coming from both ends. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure we'll have more news there in the following days. Moving along, Disney and Marvel Studios' Black Panther Wakanda Forever notched an estimated $180 million during its domestic debut, earning it the record for the biggest opener ever in the month of November and the second highest opener of 2022. All right, moving along. Saw an interesting interview over the weekend with Tracy Bennett, who's an associate puzzles editor at the New York Times since 2020, who is now also the official editor of Wordle.
Yeah.
She did say the game still gets tens of millions of players daily.
Oh my goodness.
And her job editing Wordle, basically choosing a word each day, takes around 30 minutes to an hour, which I thought was a neat little fun fact.
That's crazy.
All right. And lastly, Amazon started its 2-day delivery program 17 years ago, if you can even remember that. It's crazy. But by the end of this year, that milestone could drop down to 30 minutes as its drone deliveries start to pick up. It has a 80-pound, 50-mile-per-hour MK-27-2 drone that's going to start making deliveries of up to 12 kilometers round trip in California and Texas by the end of this year. On Thursday, Amazon also announced its next drone model, the MK-30, which it says will launch in 2024, which is a little smaller, but will be 25% less noisy and be able to fly in light rain. It's looking like this is a technology that kind of was promised, like many of these far out technologies are, to come a little earlier than it actually will.
Mm-hmm. A little premature. Yeah,
exactly. But it does appear like they're making some real progress here, getting these out in the wild.
It's going to be interesting to, like, Wouldn't it kind of freak you out if you're like walking around, like walking to work or something like that, and all of a sudden this drone just kind of buzzes over your head? I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous to see how this plays out in real life.
Yep. I think if you live in big cities, you're not going to see these for a long time.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But if you're one of these random kind of rural towns that these companies are partnering with to test these out, it's got to be a weird sight.
Oh, definitely. All right, JC. So probably the biggest story in the world of tech and finance this weekend and the past week in general was FTX. There's a lot of crypto mumbo jumbo here, a lot of abbreviations to your point earlier: FTX, SBF, FTT, SEC, lots going on there. It's a pretty confusing story to follow because there's kind of a lot of technical jargon that not even regular finance people would really know what some of this stuff is. And a lot of it's still developing. So it's going to be a really, really interesting story to follow. What's going on here? Can you kind of give us a little background on FTX and SBF, or Sam Bankman-Fried, which is the founder's real name?
Yeah, for sure. It is an interesting story indeed. And like you said, very much developing, and really will impact the future of cryptocurrency as we know it. And so the short story here is this, because you've probably been hearing a lot of, even if you follow the news a little bit, of tech and finance news a little bit, you've probably been hearing some of these terms thrown around. So the short story here is this. You have this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF. He went to MIT, worked a bit in the charity world, and then at trading firm Jane Street.
Okay.
In 2017, he launches this crypto trading firm, Alameda Research. And 2 years after that, he launches FTX, this crypto exchange. He runs it out of the Bahamas. In 2020, already FTX made $1 billion in profit, according to Bloomberg. And it seemed like things were going very well.
Yeah, $1 billion in profit sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly. As with a lot of crypto projects, but things cool down and the tides go out. And so here's where things went wrong. In November, crypto media site CoinDesk dropped this report, which basically highlighted how Alameda's assets were heavily tied up in FTT, which is a coin developed by FTX. Days later, the CEO of FTX's arch rival, this company Binance, decides to sell off $530 million worth of FTT coins. So the rest of the market gets scared. Customers try selling theirs. And over 72 hours, FTX sees $6 billion in withdrawals. And they have this liquidity crunch. So FTT plummets in value. And then SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, then tweets that Binance might buy FTX, that their rival might buy them. That's interesting. Everyone's like, oh, okay, so maybe this isn't going to be a big problem. Maybe they'll be saved. Only a day later, Binance said it would not, in fact, be buying FTX, citing basically a bunch of ugly stuff that came up during literally hours of due diligence.
That's not good.
Which I guess speaks to how bad the situation was.
Right.
And then after that, FTT coin plunges further in value. SBF and his FTX seemingly implode overnight. The man, who's at one point worth $26 billion, more recently closer to $16 billion, lost some 95% of his net worth overnight, as well as his CEO title, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Disaster.
Truly crazy. It's really, and like the crazy thing with Binance almost buying them, I think I read somewhere that Binance gave them like one of their first checks. So it's almost this like Shakespearean drama where Binance was like, you know, the big brother that gave them their first check. And then FTX and SBF started coming after Binance, and CZ, who's Binance's CEO. And so there's a bit of a rivalry going on there. And then Binance is about to buy them and then they back out. It's the type of thing that kind of makes for a decent screenplay, I think. I think there's probably some opportunity there.
Yeah, but it really speaks to kind of a big moment for crypto and finance right now in the tech industry in general.
Totally.
FTX is backed by the biggest venture capital firms in the world. Sequoia had invested over $200 million in FTX, and it said it's marking its investment down to zero.
Oof.
But also, the Miami Heat are ending their $135 million naming rights deal with FTX for their arena. FTX had equity deals with Tom Brady, Steph Curry. They had a deal with the MLB where you see an FTX logo on every umpire's shirt. UC Berkeley had a deal with them. Shaq, Trevor Lawrence, Naomi Osaka, the Golden State Warriors, Mercedes. And they had a $210 million sponsorship deal with an esports team. That's going to end.
So it's really, really easy to kick FTX while they're down right now. There is one big compliment that I want to give them. In the kind of crypto mania where crypto infiltrated everything, started getting naming rights to stadiums, all that stuff, started having Super Bowl commercials. FTX easily had the best Super Bowl commercial with Larry David, and it was not close. I think they had the other one with LeBron James that I thought was a little bit much, but I loved the Larry David one. That one was so good.
Yes. All right. And that is going to do it for us today, folks. Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Ezra Trupiano. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. I'm Jacob Cohen here with Rob Litterst. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. Go subscribe at thehustle.co/email. I hope you have a marvelous Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late, since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.